Reenie's kind of a hater towards
I didn't say a hater. I just wouldn't look good in it, that's all.
That color, I mean, that is what their brand new locker room looks like from head to toe. A transition period under Jeff Scott. You know, last year, his first year, but you don't even get a spring ball. You don't really get a full fall camp. Where has this team made room for improvement this year?
I mean, just everything they learned from last year. And so, to me, Jeff Scott, this is his first year. I would almost throw out last year, everything he had to deal with COVID. But he got that year in. You're going to get some more experience. They're going to bring in some transfers. And so I think they're in a good position to improve. Listen, he took this job over. You know, it's kind of a rebuild, right, when you come into a program like that. So, you know, I think they're going to make improvements this year. We'll see who he names a starting quarterback. I'm not sure if they did or not. I know Cade Fortin played and had gotten hurt last year. So that's obviously a big question for them as they enter this season.
And some interesting non-conference games right at the beginning. September 2nd against NC State, September 11th versus Florida. Coach Scott, thanks so much for joining us. Last year, so difficult coming in for your first year, not really getting a chance to prepare. Just where is your team at right now with everyone you have coming back as you start fall camp?
Well, we're definitely in a much better place than we were a year ago. There's no doubt about it. We had our first meetings last night and really just kind of reflecting on the progress that we had made as a team over the last 12 months. And, you know, last year was a challenge. I think it was a challenge for everybody, but especially for a new staff and a team coming in and trying to get to know each other, obviously not having the spring practices and things like that. You know, it was a struggle, no doubt about it. But it was one of those things that, you know, once you went through it, you definitely felt like you're a lot better off after going through it and all the things that we learned about ourselves and about our team. And, you know, we're looking forward to a great preseason camp here starting tomorrow.
Okay, we're going to go right into questions here from the media. Again, to get in the queue for questions, just please use the raise hand feature within Zoom, and we'll take as many as we can in the time that we have. And we'll get started with Matt Murschel from the Orlando Sentinel, please.
Jeff, I wanted to ask, is there any sort of message that you're giving your team going into year two? And also, did you change anything, maybe how you approach the coaching way going from year one to year two based on everything that happened?
Yeah, I think the biggest message for our team is, listen, hey, embrace where we are right now. The only people that are going to be able to change it are the guys on the team, right? The guys in this team room, the coaches, and you're not going to be able to change it just by, you know, having a bunch of conversations or motivational speeches. It's really going to be about the hard work that has to take place on the practice field and just really buying into the fundamentals and the details and things that we're asking them to do. And I think they're ready. I think we're just in a much better place mentally as a team, just overall culture, all these type of things, that I think we're in a much better place going into the fall camp and into the season. And I think absolutely as a coach, I think for me, I was able to learn a lot more about our team, about our program, about kind of where we are. And, you know, I have a very clear vision of where we want to go, but I think sometimes it's important to kind of know really where you are to be able to kind of map out the plan for the right steps. And so I think for me, going into year two, you know, I'm definitely focused on really just trying to maximize each day and each opportunity we have with our guys on the field in the meeting rooms, and really just kind of focus on ourselves, and everything else will take care of itself.
We'll take the next question, please, from Dan Tortora, Wake Up Call DT.
Coach, coming from Clemson and your time with Dabo Swinney, just what you can say you took from him as a leader and what Coach Swinney has meant to you on and off the football field.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the 12 years that I spent with Coach Swinney is just invaluable. I think there's a lot of things that I learned from being around him and watching him build the culture that he has built right there at Clemson. I would say the biggest thing that I've learned is, you know, it starts with the people. It starts with your coaching staff and being sure you have a staff around you that believes in the same things as far as developing the culture and how we're going to do things. And then I think the next thing is really just changing the way that your players think and really getting them to believe in what you're doing and really kind of create a culture that is very unique. And I think that's really what I spent the first 18 months here, is really trying to develop an attitude of belief, develop a winning culture in our locker room, and just how we do all the little details. And that's probably the biggest thing that I learned is that stuff comes before the winning on the field. And I was able to see that. And as he kind of installed that his first 2 years as the head coach, and then all of a sudden year 3, we really kind of took off and never looked back.
Coming from Clemson and coming from Coach Sweeney has that clout. What can you say about the recruiting trail? And as you're trying to build, like you said, these 18 months, what are they taking from you? And are you able to utilize that time there to help in recruiting to get the right people that you're looking for in the program?
Sure. I think one thing that I've taken is, at Clemson, we talked about best as the standard, and that everything that we do, we want it to be our absolute best. And so when I got here to South Florida, a lot of the questions that I was asking our administration as we were looking at facilities is, hey, is this the best that South Florida can do, right? And I think we can do a little bit better in a few areas. And, just yesterday, we just moved into a brand new $2 million locker room. I think it's absolutely incredible. I give a lot of credit to our administration and our leadership here at the university and all the donors that made that happen very quickly. And I think that sent a message to our players and to the prospects and recruits in this area, that, hey, football does matter here at South Florida. And, we're on the way up. And I think that message has been kind of spread a little bit in this Bay Area and in the state of Florida. And I think, you go back again to the beginning years that Coach Sweeney was at Clemson, all of a sudden the new facilities, he just really kind of breathed some life into a program that maybe had been a little bit dormant a few years before he took over. And hopefully I'm able to bring that same energy here to South Florida.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
The next one, we'll go to Kelly Quinlan from Bulls Insider, please.
Hey, Coach. I was just curious about your running back situation. It's obviously evolved a lot from the spring. You have 2 new guys, and Mangum and Powell that came in, and just overall kind of what your expectations are from that group to get more production to kind of help your offense, because obviously that was a big part of what you did at Clemson.
Yeah, I'm really encouraged about our running back group. I would say, Darian Felix is a talented player that, really last year he could never get going. He had some hamstring issues early on in the season that were kind of nagging him all year long, and he really never got an opportunity to go out and get on the field. He's had an outstanding spring and summer. He's in great shape. And then also, just like you said, some of the newcomers that have come in, Jaron Mangum, and then K'Wan Powell is a true freshman, 205 pounds. And I've gotten really good reports on both of those guys. And then Kelly Joyner for last year, that was one of our starters. I really feel like those 4 guys are going to have an opportunity to have big roles for us. And I feel overall that room is going to be much improved from maybe where it was a year ago.
We'll take the next question, please, from Will Turner from Bulls 24/7, please.
Coach, Brad Cecil mentioned this yesterday when he talked, about the little things, and you mentioned it just a little bit yesterday and today. Guys picking up trash that might not be there, stuff like just culture things that they might not have done, 18, 20 months ago. What have you seen in that terms of, guys doing the little things specifically that, you've noticed and kind of liked over the last year or so?
Yeah, I mean, it's really in everything that we do. Every single day I get an academic report, right, on if anybody shows up late to study hall, misses study hall, misses their tutors, is late to a class or misses a class. And same thing, everything that we do, it all matters. And, really the big message that, myself and our other coaches have been trying to spread to our players is, in order to be a team of excellence and to truly have a winning program, you got to live your life, everything you do, to a very, very high standard. And so, that I think sometimes it's easy to think that, what I do on the practice field or game field is the only thing that matters. And really it's, how you do anything is how you do everything, right? And I mean, it's for how you dress, going out to practice and workouts and how you showing up on time. I think for me, a big sign was just, hearing about the player-led practices this winter and this spring and this summer. That was completely different than maybe where we were a year ago. And I feel like, I've told our teams that, the best teams that I've been around, the leaderships really take ownership of the team and really kind of get everybody together and go out and do things together when maybe the coaches are not allowed to be around. And I've seen a lot of progress in that, and really just seeing the majority of the team and especially the leadership buy in to really maximizing all those details.
We'll go back to a follow-up from Matt Murschel from the Orlando Sentinel, please.
Jeff, you've had a year now to kind of get acclimated to the AAC. What have you seen of this conference, and what stands out to you about moving forward?
Yeah, a very strong conference. I had a lot of respect for it, just watching from afar during my years at Clemson and coming down this past year and getting an opportunity to go play so many of the teams. I firmly believe that, the top half of our conference would be very comparable and very competitive and comparable to many of the teams in some of the other leagues around the country. And, I was just, I really think that our conference is on the way up. I think our commissioner has done an excellent job of positioning us, in a great spot. And I feel like the overall depth and quality of the teams in our league is something that's very impressive. And I really feel like here over the next few years, we're going to continue to move up to even higher heights.
We'll go to the next one from Trace Trilco from Sons of UCF, please.
Coach, with camp getting underway, what's your team's percentage of vaccination, and what are your thoughts on the league's position that any games impacted by COVID will not be rescheduled and it could lead to a forfeit?
Yeah, we're very close to 80% of our players that have been vaccinated. And hey, obviously that's a difficult thing. Everybody's dealing with that, NFL, college, high school. There's a lot of things. And, the biggest thing that was important to me was really to just educate our players and get them as much information as they can. We're very fortunate here at South Florida. We've got USF Health in our backyard, and we just have access to a lot of very strong medical professionals. And they've been able to come over and meet with our players. And, as far as what the league decides, I mean, there's a lot of meetings and a lot of things that take place as part of that. And so I think for me, I'm very supportive of, and I know our medical staff have been on all those calls, and athletic director have been on all those calls. And, hey, it's a new time, and all of us are trying to work through it together. But, my focus is really on being sure our guys have all the information they need and allowing them to make their individual decisions.
We'll go back to Kelly Quinlan with Bulls Insider, please.
Obviously, the $1 million question is going to be about the quarterback situation and that leadership position on your team. And you spoke about the player-led workouts and stuff. Is it different when you don't have maybe the guy that's, leading your program, and to see that leadership piece? And then also kind of what are you expecting from that battle this fall?
Yeah, well, I think we're definitely in a better position there. I think, Cade Fortin is a guy. We haven't announced a starting quarterback or anything like that because I want to be able to go through fall camp. But, those quarterbacks have done a really good job this offseason and, have really competed well. I think all those guys had a good spring. And I think, for me, the biggest thing, I was meeting with those guys this morning and saying, hey, I think we have a much improved room from top to bottom than maybe where we were a year ago. And we recruited all 4 of the scholarship quarterbacks that are in that room. We brought them in here over the last 18 months. And so really it's going to be, about watching them compete every day. Everything counts. And then, hey, we've got some, big time opportunities here in our first 4 non-conference games. And we'll see how they go out there and compete on the field. And ultimately the goal is for one player to stand out, become our starter, and let our team really kind of rally behind them for the rest of the year. And that's definitely a goal before we start conference play.
We'll go back to Dan Tortora for a follow-up, please.
Coach, conference realignment has obviously reared its head before, and it's doing it again right now. Just what you are seeing with Oklahoma and Texas making this movement and what it could mean for college football and how you assess it now that you have just, a few months ago jumped into the AAC.
Yeah, well, the first thing that I've realized watching it all is, there's not one person in charge, right? That's the thing that probably makes it more difficult than something like the NFL, right, where they have a commissioner and they have the head of the players union. In college football, there's not one person in charge of all these decisions. So, it could really go a lot of different ways. I think for me, I've been very pleased with, the direction of the AAC. I think our commissioner is a forward thinker. I think he's working extremely hard to do whatever he can to best position our conference for whatever turns this realignment takes. And I think specifically for us here at the University of South Florida, Michael Kelly, our director of athletics, he spent 6 years working as the one of the assistant commissioners at the ACC, and then also 6 years working at the college football playoff. So he has a lot of relationships, a lot of connections, and I think he has a really good background for maybe the new climate that we're entering. And I think the last part of that is, the best thing that I can do is help our team win and be successful and really improve our brand. And I don't think there's going to be any decisions made here in the next week that are, going to be permanent for the next 40 years of college football. I think we're going to see here over the next couple of years, there's going to be a lot of changes. And really my priority and our team's priority is to do whatever we can to win games and best improve our brand here at South Florida so we can help continue to improve our conference.
Thank you, Coach.
We'll go back to Will Turner, Bulls 24/7 for the next one, please.
You mentioned building the brand, and one heck of a way to build the brand is the fact that you have a primetime Thursday night game to start, a primetime or a nationally televised game right after that in Florida, and then another Thursday night game against East Carolina later in October. When you look at those 3 games on the schedule, obviously, every game is important, but those 3 games are nationally televised. How big is that for having 3 nationally televised games in year 2 of this regime, as opposed to maybe having them in year 1?
Yeah, I definitely am glad that we have the opportunity to have those games this year, and we've had a lot more time to get everything settled and get our guys prepared. There's no doubt it's going to be exciting. Our players are excited about that. I think for where we are right now as a program, yes, it's great that we're getting some great exposure on TV and the brand. And I think for me, it's more about how we play in those games. I think it's one thing to play in the game. It's another thing to play well. And so I think for me, our focus here over these next 25 practices is to do everything that we can to prepare us for that moment, right? The best of the best, they seize the moment, they seize the opportunity. And we're going to have some special opportunities ahead of us this year. And it's my goal and our goal of our team that we're ready for those opportunities to maximize everything we can.
We'll take one more from Trace Trilko, please.
Coach, the AAC released its preseason projections. Your team projected 11th. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts on that are, that's where we were at the end of last season, right? And that's where a lot of the projections coming from last year. And, my message to our players is, hey, it is what it is. All right, we got to embrace it and we got to attack it and we got to go work each and every day to improve where we are. I'm very confident that we have a lot of positive things going on, and I'm confident that if our guys continue to work hard, that we're going to show a lot of progress this year. And ultimately, just like 2 years ago, we were telling our guys at Clemson that those preseason polls don't mean anything. That's kind of my message to the guys last night. I showed them that we're, picked preseason last in the conference, but really the one ranking that's going to matter the most is going to be what that final ranking is. And what's going to determine that is the work that they put in and energy that they put into this fall camp and season that we have ahead of us.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward to watching you guys open the season here shortly.
Great to be with you.
That was head coach Jeff Scott. Rini, the biggest question they have right now is at quarterback, and he mentioned the 4 scholarship options. When you go to a fall camp, what are you looking for, and how do you try and make a decision in terms of splitting reps? I mean, how do you evaluate that?
Yeah, and he's in a rebuild, so it's going to be an open competition. And all those guys bring something to the table. They all have arm talent. You're looking who's going to separate themselves with that leadership ability that you really know your offense needs. And I think that's what Coach Scott's going to look at. And it's amazing when you think about it. You know, you're a first-year coach trying to rebuild a program. You go in and you got to deal with COVID, right? So to me, again, and I said this in the opening, I really look at this as Jeff Scott's first year. I really do, because everything's normal. He had a spring practice, and his kids are going to be able to compete for some spots. So I'm looking forward to improvement from USF this year.
Yeah, and some positives. I mean, all 5 starters return on the offensive line. Defensively, they get a lot of help transfer-wise. That schedule, though, I mean, to be...
How about the first
2 games? I was going to say the first 2, but I mean the first 4 games.
And then they get a breather with Florida A&M, the Rattlers, but then they go to BYU. They got to go to Provo.
I know. It does seem like the way that the coach was going to go about it was, hey, we need to have our quarterback by the time we get to conference play. So, you know, these games, while tough, will give us a chance also to see what it looks like in the line of fire with these QBs. Great
point. So if no one separates himself in camp, you're right. We may see a couple different quarterbacks those first couple weeks.
Welcome to the American Conference and the tough schedule right out the gate for the Bulls. Of all the conference schedule, though, I mean, which ones of those? I mean, all of them are tough when you look at it. They got to go to Houston, or they host Houston and Cincinnati. But, you know, which one of these you think that they can take? They went 0-7 last year.
Yeah, I mean, really, the coach speak is right. You're going to try to win every game. But realistically, you got to try to knock some teams off that you're really not expected to. You only won 1 game last year, and it was against Citadel, right? So you had no conference win. So really, small steps, right? You want to get that 1 conference win, right? And then build on that. So, I mean, really, that's what you're trying to do.